times we had.
We're very much alike.
Remember all the happy times we had.
The news media comes out and tells us that they accept the Hunter Biden laptop as presented. So we'll talk just a bit about what that is, what that means, and what that could mean for the political future as well as the political present. In other news, Greg Abbott. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Greg Abbott makes a steel wall of cars to try to stem some of the flow of what's going on in Texas. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. George W. Bush decides that he wants to campaign for Liz Cheney. So it might be a Bush-Cheney situation. We all know how well that went the last time we had to go through something like that. And a little bit of linguistic propaganda going on here as we talk about a news story from the point of view of NPR plus the point of view of Occupy Democrats. It's going to be all this and more. Hey, 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 do you trust the plan yet? I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we have got a news story for you guys today, and we've got a news day for you guys today. We are going to, once again, and I always say this, but we're going to try and get through everything, but we've got some fun stuff, we've got some memes, we've got some Gabby Petito stuff, because that seems to be what's on the lead of CNN, and therefore the general interest feels that we need to talk about it. I still think this should be a local story, but we will talk about some of the stuff going on there. That will be towards the end of the show. But yeah, I mean, it's just been a little bit crazy here. And I don't know what's going on with me this morning either. I had a couple other things that I wanted to put on the show today. Ready, prepped in my mind, and I didn't get them in after the cut. One of them is a different backing track, by the way, from here. I know you guys like the Pretzel Rocks, but I wanted to try something new to see if you guys liked it, and really to experiment and see if I actually got popped on YouTube for it, because I didn't know if I was going to or not. There is one of the music stations, I was doing a little bit of research, the one that I like to listen to while I'm at work. It's one of the music channels, the live streams on YouTube. It says it's stream safe. It says it is safe to use for streams, and I wanted to experiment and see if that was true. I mean, worst that could happen is I get this video is demonetized in all regions, which I told them to take their AdSense and shove it up their ass. So I don't know what I'd be worried about on that, but regardless, I wanted to see if it worked. I wanted to see if it tried, or see if it got us popped, shut down, or whatever the hell. We'll try that again tomorrow, though. I think you guys will like that particular station. The only rule is I have to shout them out if I use them. So you might hear a little bit of a spoken word advertisement for the particular YouTube channel and the live stream that it is, if we decide to go that route. But anyway, we have got to get into the news of the day. But before we get started, and I have something to show this time through. Before we get started, head on over, check out, and bookmark TurnSomePagesProductions.com. That is Turn Some Pages, just like you would understand it, productions.com. Or if that's too long for you, TSP-PROD.com. Something cool is coming very soon, and we're going to get the fundraiser moving for it. We do actually have the website up, and once we get the Kickstarter GoFundMe up there ready to go as well, we're going to start looking into getting something out there. We'll get that up on the front page as well, because we got to get it funded. The web lady's got to get paid, so we can't go without paying her. We like her. She's a nice lady. So we will go ahead and get that going, bookmark that page, and also go and check out the people who will be coming and joining us for that page, and that is the Daily Ignoramus, the Porch Boys, the Breakdown with Birkenhoff, the R-Rated Conservative, and the Freckles and Brit Show. Go check all those shows out. They're great shows. They're great friends to liberty. They're great friends to freedom, and they're great friends to me, too. I mean, that should be enough for you to drive you over there right there. So go and check them out. They're great shows. Go check out TurnSomePagesProductions.com. Something cool is coming. I can't wait to show it to you. I can't wait to reveal it to you, but we got to get some funding going so we can get the website that we want. All right, let's get into some of the news of the day, starting off with your finance. Do I have live chat up? Did I turn live chat on? Yes, I did. All right, let's get going. Starting with the Dow actually had a fairly good update, and that is in spite of a lot of things that were working against it yesterday. Looks like the Fed talks are going to taper off some of the bond purchasing, as they've been promising here, which was predicted to have a hard hit on the Dow, so we'll watch and see where that goes. Also, the default of Evergrande looks like that has been held up at this point, so that's staved off some of the bleeding as well. And really, honestly, when we take another big sharp dip like that, people come in and buy because, hey, it's on sale. Just like I say about Bitcoin all the time, don't get it at full price, get it while it's on sale. So those are some of the things that we are seeing here in the markets. Let's have a look at your Bitcoin. Let's get a refresh on that from last night. Your Bitcoin is holding at $43,530.50 US dollars. Well, $43,530 US dollars and 50 US cents. That is a slight uptick overnight yesterday, a fairly significant uptick from yesterday. So $1,000 a day. That's a fairly good uptick. And if that price keeps bouncing back, some of you guys are going to wish you bought it at the bottom. I'm just saying. Just like when I looked at Doge and I said, at 0.3 cents, I can throw a $20 bill at this. I'm not out anything for a $20 bill. And wound up being mildly happy with my decision. I'm not going to say very, very happy. When it was up, I was very happy with it, but I'm mildly happy with the decision. I didn't lose anything. $20. And what I got back off of $20, and I'm going to hold that forever. I'm not selling. But regardless, that's where your Bitcoin is sitting right now. Let's look at your scrap metal pricing. Looks like copper is on the rise, steel continues to be on the drop, and aluminum continues to be on the rise once again. All of your coppers look like they are up right now. Looks like a lot of your steel is still up, but cast iron is down, complete car is down, and number one steel is down. But other portions of the steel market are up, and all of your aluminums are sitting in the green right now as well. Even catalytic converters are going up, so it looks like they are begging for some scrap, which means that there might be some good industry off in the future. This might not turn out as badly as, well, I thought, and even the Biden admin possibly thought for a while, but we will see where it goes. I mean, they still got plenty of time to go spend a whole bunch of money in a stupid manner, so we will see what happens with that. Let's read from IBD. Dow Jones futures rise despite China's Evergrande default warning after Fed fuels market rally. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures rose solidly Thursday morning along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures despite mixed China news on Evergrande. The stock market rally rebounded strongly Wednesday, boosted by Evergrande debt news and a Fed meeting that walked a line between hawkish and dovish statements and hints. Overnight, China's central bank injected the most short-term liquidity since late January, helping to soothe Evergrande default fears. That helped lift Dow Jones futures and stocks in Asia, but futures paired gains somewhat on a Wall Street Journal report that China is telling local governments to prepare for a possible Evergrande default. Evergrande holds some $300 billion in debt, with projects across the country playing a huge role in construction and the economy overall. Beijing has told Evergrande to focus on finishing existing projects and repaying individual investors while avoiding a default for now. Evergrande stock jumped in Hong Kong overnight. On Wednesday, Snap stock extended Tuesday's move above a trend line entry. Snap is rallying as Facebook stock loses sight of its 50-day line, with Facebook warning that Apple iOS ad tracking changes remain in a headwind. Meanwhile, Nvidia, Wells Fargo, Monolithic Power, and Digital Turbine also flashed buy signals. Before the open, Accenture narrowly beat EPS views. While revenue was in line, the IT consulting giant also raised guidance, hiked its dividend by 10%, and announced $3 billion in buyback. Accenture stock rose modestly in pre-market trade, flashing a possible buy signal as well. ACN stock is trying to rebound from its first test of the 10-week line since a late June breakout. Also, before the open, Darden Restaurants reported strong earnings and guidance. Darden rose solidly before the open, signaling it'll clear a long consolidation. Darden is the Olive Garden, just so you guys know. Finally, Salesforce raised fiscal 2022 guidance and gave bullish outlook for fiscal 2023. CRM stock rose early Thursday, working on a long cup with handle base, but the Dow Jones tech giant could offer an early entry within the handle. Policymakers said in the post-Fed meeting that a moderation in the pace of asset purchases may soon be warranted, but didn't go ahead with a bond taper decision at the current meeting. The Fed statement didn't provide any specific timing for a taper, but Fed Chief Jerome Powell said a November taper decision could easily happen if the economy continues to show improvement. In his what improvement? Nobody wants to go back to work still. In his post-meeting news conference, Powell said several FOMC members were already ready to taper. He added that a taper could end by mid-2022, though he said the Fed could speed up or slow down the taper as conditions warrant. But the end of the bond taper would set the stage for Fed rate hikes. Policymakers are now evenly split on whether to expect a Fed rate hike next year versus 7 of 18 in the prior meeting. There have been speculation that a majority would target the 2022 Fed rate hike. Policymakers also now expect inflation to remain above 2% through 2024. Nvidia and Snap are on the IBD leaderboard. Snap is on Swing Trader. MPWR stock is an IBD long-term leader. Snap stock, Nvidia, and Monolithic Power are also on the IBD 50. On your futures, the Dow futures rose 0.6% versus fair value, with CRM stock giving a slight boost. Futures came off highs following the reports of China's Evergrande default, warning to local governments. S&P 500 futures advanced 0.5%, and Nasdaq also climbed 0.5%. Crude oil and copper futures edged lower after rising on Wednesday, so we will watch on the metals for that because it looks like copper might be dropping again if what we just saw is an indicator. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. That was a lot of information all at once. Let's go grab one from Fox Business.
Futures this morning are pointing to a...
Shut up, you. Nobody likes you, Maria. That's true. I'm sure a lot of boomers like Maria. U.S. Dow Jones jumps 338 points as Fed signals on tapering and rate hikes, from Jonathan Garber. U.S. stocks posted strong gains but finished off session highs Wednesday after the Federal Reserve signaled tapering would begin likely later this month and that interest rate hikes will start in 2022. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 338 points or 1%, while the S&P 500 Index and the Nasdaq Composite Index advanced 0.95% and 1.02% respectively. The Dow has gained as many as 521 points just after the Fed announcement. The Federal Reserve kept policy on hold on Wednesday, but said a moderation in the pace of asset purchases may soon be warranted as long as the U.S. economy progresses as expected. At his press conference, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said the test of the substantial further progress for inflation has already been met with, and that with the labor market could that test as soon as the next meeting. I don't know what that sentence was supposed to say, but there was no way that was grammatically correct. The Fed statement said the central bank expects to raise interest rates at least once next year and 3 times in 2023. Core personal consumption expenditures inflation will reach 3.7% before falling to 2.2% next year. The central bank said the unemployment rate will hit 4.8% this year and 3.8% next year. Good luck. Good fucking luck. The Fed's decision comes after hours after Evergrande negotiated a deal to settle interest payments, soothing contagion concerns for the time being. The embattled Chinese real estate developer must make another payment on Thursday. In stocks, interest rate-sensitive names like Bank of America Core and JP Morgan Chase and Company outperformed as the yield on the 10-year note ticked up 1 basis point to 1.33%. Elsewhere, FedEx Corporation reported a 7% drop in the quarterly profit and cut its full-year earnings forecast due to its inability to find workers ahead of the crucial holiday season, and that's going to be the drag on the economy. Plus the debt ceiling stuff and everything else that goes with that. But when it comes down to real-world economy, not just what investors are trading back and forth with each other, FedEx, the people who transport Christmas gifts, are not going to be able to find the people to go back and drive their cutaway vans and their trucks and their trailers and everything else coming into the holiday season. That's where your problems are going to start to lie. General Mills beat on both the top and bottom lines and guided organic net sales at the high end of its previous range. Adobe announced record quarterly revenue and issued better than expected earnings guidance for the current quarter. Stitch Fix posted a surprise profit as the company's new direct purchase option, as an alternative to its monthly subscription service, provided a boost. Meanwhile, Marin Software Incorporated shares soared after the company entered into a revenue share agreement with Google to develop its enterprise tech platform and software products. In commodities, West Texas Intermediate crude surged $1.74 to $72.23 a barrel, and gold edged up 70 cents to $17.7670 an ounce. Overseas markets were mostly higher. And yeah, there are a couple things that go with that too. And I know that we don't do the gas prices here anymore. But yes, your crude oil is going up. And that is having an effect on the pump. I can tell you that. I put gas in my truck day before yesterday, at $3.14 in Janesville. And I've told you guys this before. I could go get gas in town here, but there's really no place to get the good gas here. If I get Quick Trip gas for whatever reason, I get less fuel economy, even though this is the past time through, that's what I used. But I threw a $20 bill in because I was on a time crunch, and it takes a long time to fill a 36-gallon tank. But I threw a 20 in, and I looked down at the pump, and it was $3.14 a gallon. That is the first time I've seen over $3 a gallon in town. We've had it here in Redacted. We've had it here a couple times before, but yeah, in town it was always hovering. It got to $2.99 a couple times, but it was always hovering just below the $3 mark, and now it's up to $3.14 in town. I can't believe it. Well, I can, I guess, because, you know, Biden's going to Biden, but still, that just blew my mind when I saw that. So, yeah, your gas prices are coming up, coming into the holidays, coming into the point where there is the need for heating fuel that's going to drive everything up. It's starting to get cooler. Some places I've been to have already had the heat on. I have not yet. I still have windows open right now. But, yeah, it's going to start to draw on us. And that's going to be what starts to draw on the economy as well. So we will see what happens and what goes with that. All right, I guess let's get into the big news of the day here. I do want to point one other thing out right now before we get started. Because we do have a few of you guys here. I know that our friend Ron Helton over there likes to use Trovo. I have seen that there have been a few people that have been having trouble with Trovo, including my friend Stephen Ignoramus. Matt Christensen, even though I don't follow him anymore, I do run in some of the same circles with him. A couple of chat groups and Discord groups that I am in are specifically built to be fans of Matt Christensen. So a couple of them pointed out that he got the exact same email from Trovo that Steven did. That no explanation or anything, he's just banned from Trovo instantly. With that, I'm going to continue to use it as more kind of a stick it to them, because I do cover the same themes as both of those other programs. I am flying further under the radar, so it's going to take them longer to get to me, but I'm going to use their server for as long as they'll have me on there. So if you guys want to tell your friends about Trovo, get them over there, just kind of stick it to them and tell the Trovo gods, hey, you took away our Steven, you took away our Christensen. Fuck you, you will not take away our contemporary. I'd see if they actually do it or not. I'd like to get banned from something at some point. Because all my friends have done it. Fuck, even that vanilla gatekeeper cocksucker Christensen has been banned from YouTube temporarily. And DLive. But yet, I've never had a punitive action. Anything that I've actually had that has been blocked in all countries has been restored under an appeal. So, we will continue to stick it to them. But yeah, it's Trovo. What is it? Trovo.live/JEdgar101 if you guys ever want to go check it out. And stick it back to the man. If not, if you like your regular platform, I appreciate it. I still do. Very much so. Alright, let's get into it. Starting here with Fox News. Politico confirms Hunter Biden laptop emails after a media-declared story Russian disinformation amid election. From Joseph A. Wolfsohn. I'm going to drop this a little bit because it's a little bit loud in my ear. I hope it's fine for you guys, but it's a little bit loud in my ear. Alright. Nearly 1 year after the Hunter Biden laptop story sparked a political firestorm, Politico confirmed some of the material first reported by the New York Post in the final weeks of the presidential election. Politico Playbook published reporting from correspondent Ben Schreckinger's new book, The Bidens, which delved into the emails that surfaced in the explosive reporting that was ultimately suppressed by big tech. A person who had independent access to Hunter Biden's emails confirmed he did receive a 2015 email from a Ukrainian businessman thanking him for the chance to meet Joe Biden. The same goes for the 2017 email, in which a proposed equity breakdown of a venture with a Chinese energy executive includes the lines, 10 held by H for the big guy, the playbook wrote. Emails released by a Swedish government agency also match emails in the leaked cache, and the two people who corresponded with Hunter Biden confirmed emails from the cache were genuine. Politico added, while the leak contains genuine files, it remains possible that fake material has been slipped in. Really? This is a drastic shift in tone from Politico, which ran the October 2020 headline, Hunter Biden story is Russian disinfo, dozens of former intel officials say. The report, authored by Natasha Bertrand, now a CNN reporter, highlighted an open letter signed by more than 50 former senior intelligence officials who insisted that the published email from the laptop and all the classified earmarks of a Russian information operation. The letter, which was parroted by much of the media, baselessly suggested that the emails were hacked and could have been tampered with by the Kremlin in order to make its contents look incriminating. Signatories of that letter included outspoken Trump critics John Brennan, James Clapper, Michael Hayden, Leon Panetta, Jeremy Bash, many of whom work as analysts on MSDNC and CIANN. The unsubstantiated claims from former intel officials were elevated throughout the media, including CIANN, MSDNC, and the Huffing and Puffington Post. Glenn Greenwald says, look at the campaign video HuffPo produced for Joe Biden masquerading as a pre-election news report that was full of lies. No other way to say it, and their only basis was mimicking CIA's claims. Let's listen to that as a reminder for posterity. So, yeah, I mean, with Trump down in the polls, incentive for Moscow to pull out their stops to do anything to make Trump, yeah, it's Moscow, it's Russia, oh my God, Russia. That's all that they always had, too. I mean, we watched it, we watched the same election, and they tried to pull the same stunts that they did at the beginning of the Trump presidency as the as the campaign and the election were drawing near. And I do remember there were a lot of people, once this all came back out and it got restored by Twitter, that a lot of people did come back, and that was one of the first pieces of buyer's remorse they had with Biden. Oh, if I'd known about this Hunter laptop thing, I wouldn't have voted for him. Even if it is fake, it casts enough doubt that we don't know. I don't know if we could have him up there. And furthermore, what does this mean now for Biden? Because some of this, especially with giving aid and abetment to China, this is a national security threat. Some of this is actual national security problem with the Ukraine, conflict of interest that goes along with that, plus conflict of interest with China. I mean, we're sitting here talking about whether or not we can take down General Milley for giving information and comfort and aid to a foreign enemy in China. Meanwhile, we have stuff where the vice president's son gave comfort and aid to China for access to his father, for the big guy. And I don't know legally what this means, and one of the things to point out and watch for this is whether or not we actually see something coming out of this, but whether or not we actually see something coming. Something actually happened, because, I mean, impeachment, that's a partisan thing. That has nothing to do with high crimes and misdemeanors anymore. And there's no way, even if you got every single person on the GOP caucus together, if there were any grumblings anywhere about a Democrat in the House possibly voting to get back onto this impeachment, Nancy Pelosi would go up there with the whip and whip them up into line and say, no, you will not cross that line. You will do what I say. You are my servants. So, I mean, this is big stuff. I got a little bit more on this from the Daily Mail. Not too much, because this is going to be a lot of the same information. But let's look into what the Daily Mail had to say. DC finally accepts that Hunter laptop is his. New book on the Bidens by Politico admits Mail and others were right all along. From Elizabeth Elkine, politics reporter, and Josh Boswell for DailyMail.com. A new book on President Biden is verifying at least some of the information found in a laptop allegedly belonging to Hunter is real, months after incriminating emails regarding Hunter's dealings with the Ukraine were examined in a DailyMail.com investigation. Materials were confirmed as real include an infamous 2015 email from the Ukrainian businessman Vadim Pozharsky thanking Hunter for the chance to meet his father, then only Vice President Biden. Someone with independent access to Hunter's emails confirmed that he received the message. The book, The Bidens, Inside the First Family's 50-Year Rise to Power by Politico's Ben Schreckinger, released on Tuesday, documents the Biden family's decades-long political life. It also confirms the validity of a 2017 email between Hunter and his business partners. In a multi-million-dollar deal with the Chinese oil giant CEFC, consultant James Gilliar set out political terms of the deal and listed 10 held for H by the big guy. The mysterious phrase from the May 2017 message examined by DailyMail.com in July has been interpreted as a proposal for Hunter to hold 10% of the shares in the joint venture on behalf of his father, who was referred to as the big guy in several other emails on the laptop. Biden denied the interpretation at the time. A source who spoke with the book's authors say they had seen both emails but couldn't verify whether they were word-for-word identical. The leaked cache from the emails was matched to emails released by the Swedish government, Politico reports. Two additional sources confirmed to the outlet that emails from the cache were genuine. In 2017 email with Pozharsky was the subject of an extensive DailyMail.com investigation in May. In the correspondence obtained by DailyMail.com, Hunter wrote to a friend before a 2015 Washington, D.C. dinner that he organized that was ostensibly to discuss food security, but was in fact an opportunity to introduce his potential clients and partners to his powerful father. Pozharsky emailed Hunter the day after. Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to DC and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It's really an honor and pleasure, Vadim Pozharsky wrote in April 17th of 2015. Pozharsky's email emerged in October when the contents of Hunter's laptop were first leaked by the New York Post. And there is the email right there. Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to DC and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It's really an honor and pleasure. As we spoke yesterday evening, it would be great to meet today for quick coffee. What do you think? I could come to your office somewhere around noon or so before or on my way to airport. Best V, and then a signature, probably sent from, I don't read Cyrillic, but iPhone. An article from the New York Post detailing allegations stemming from the digital files was subsequently blocked from being shared on Twitter and got the outlet's account temporarily suspended. Twitter has since expressed regret for the move. Biden's campaign blasted the report in June and said a record search indicated no such meeting occurred. But Biden did make an unscheduled stop at a private restaurant dinner in April 2015 where Hunter was hosting, someone from Burisma, according to a Washington Post fact check from October. The Politico report also notes that while the files are genuine, it's still possible that they may have been tampered with using fake material. So they're still trying to stay out ahead of this thing and say, no, we don't need to run in and we don't need to worry about this or worry that the president is compromised. Just nothing to see here, nothing to go on, nothing to do here. But realistically, I mean, this is bombshell stuff right here. This really does have some national security implications to this, especially given the fact that one of the people involved in this has the highest office in the land. He's not the one running it, but he symbolically has that highest office. But the most damning part of this is this tweet out here from NPR. NPR public editor, blue checked of course, tweets out, Why haven't you seen any stories from NPR about the New York Post Hunter Biden story? Read more in this week's newsletter. With a picture that says, we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. And we don't want to waste our listeners and the readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions. NPR, National Progressive Radio, now donate to us. This is from Terrence Samuel, NPR's managing editor for news on the New York Post Hunter Biden story, out of the office of the public editor. So they don't even want to put the information out there. They don't want you to know about this. Oh, this is just a waste of time. Yeah, I think the American people deserve to know what's happening in their federal government. I know that NPR doesn't believe that, but I think the American people have the right to know. All right, let's grab one from the Hill. Texas governor sends fleets of cars to southern border to form a barrier. Let's see. I thought we had a picture of the barrier, but I guess the tweet didn't load for whatever reason. This is from Monique Bales. Texas Governor Greg Abbott this week sent hundreds of Texas Department of Public Safety cars to create a steel wall and block migrants from crossing the border into the United States. Abbott said in an interview with Fox News that the wall of vehicles prevented people from walking into the state of Texas. The move from the Texas governor comes amid droves of mostly Haitian nationals making their way to the southern border to seek refuge in the U.S. after political turmoil and a natural disaster has shaken their home country. The migrants have created a makeshift camp at the border under the bridge near Del Rio, Texas. Abbott, who has garnered national attention in recent weeks for his policies on coronavirus pandemic and his signing of the abortion restrictions, has been critical of the Biden admin after more than about 15,000 migrants made their way to the southern border. If Biden stepped up and followed the court order, we would not see the chaos that we're seeing today, Abbott told Fox News. Abbott added via tweet that his state was doing Biden's job for him. The Texas Department of Public Safety troopers secured Del Rio sector of the southern border. We're doing Biden's job for him. I'm headed to Del Rio today. Stay tuned. A federal appeals court earlier this month overturned a judge's order blocking the Department of Homeland Security from shifting its immigration enforcement policies. The ruling from the appeals court was a significant win for the Biden admin. All right. Does not look like we have much for images up here. Let's see if there is something in the Hill video, which I don't know if there's going to be or not. Let's also see why we don't have music playing. What the hell is going on here? There we go. All right, let's have a listen to this. Let's see what they've got.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott this week sent hundreds of Texas Department of Public Safety cars to create a steel wall to block migrants from crossing the border into the United States. Abbott said in an interview on Fox News that the wall of vehicles prevented people from, quote, walking into the state of Texas. The move from the Texas governor comes amid droves of mostly Haitian nationals making their way to the southern border to seek refuge in the U.S. after political turmoil and a natural disaster has shaken their home country. The migrants have created a makeshift camp at the border under a bridge near Del Rio, Texas.
So I would say that every few months, there's a group of folks, they call themselves the Proud Boys. I think a lot of people know who they are following January 6th, where there were a number of those people involved with that. Basically, it's like...
Yeah, the Proud Boys, that's not going to be a thing for us here, so... Yeah. But regardless, yeah, I mean, there's no real images of that here. Well, let's keep going on this. Let's see what else we have to say with this. Looking in at the New York Post, Mayorkas puts border agents accused of whipping migrants on desk duty. This is from Callie Pattison and Jackie Sallow. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas revealed Wednesday that Border Patrol agents accused of whipping migrants to prevent them from crossing the U.S. border have been assigned to desk duty while the incident is investigated with tremendous speed and with tremendous force. Mayorkas addressed the images of the agents in Del Rio, which he said correctly and necessarily were met with our nation's horror, while testifying before the House Homeland Security Committee on Capitol Hill. Those border patrol agents, really honestly, I gotta ask the question. I mean, do the tire marks hurt? I mean, some of those are dual tire marks. Do the tire marks hurt from where Mayorkas threw your ass under the fucking bus? They do not reflect who we are as a country, nor do we think that they reflect who the United States Customs Border Protection is, he said. Mayorkas said the agency is investigating the images, which appeared to show agents using whips to prevent Haitian migrants from crossing the Rio Grande to reach an encampment set up under a Texas bridge. He said the probe is being conducted with a tremendous speed and tremendous force. And the findings would be available in days, not weeks. That looks like a rain to me, you guys. I mean, especially as long as this one's rain is. That's not. I have ordered an investigation to be conducted of the events that are captured in those images, he said. Pending the outcome of the investigation, agents have been prohibited from interacting with migrants, he said. We have ensured that individuals during the pendency of the investigation are not conducting law enforcement duties to interact with migrants, but rather are conducting only administrative duties, he said. Mayorkas previously denied that whips were being used to keep migrants on the Mexico side of the river, claiming that agents used long reins to control their horses. Meanwhile, Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz has blamed the difficulty of distinguishing migrants from smugglers as people move back and forth near the river. Yeah, this was, I mean, for the most part, I look at something like this and I say this was probably a retaliatory thing. Because enough people came back and said, "Oh no! Oh, the Biden admin is doing bad things, and they're going to deport people." And now Mayorkas is going to, as I mentioned, throw these people straight under the bus and try to get the American people to believe that these people are acting under their own agency rather than under the direction of the executive branch. Throw them under the bus. See what sticks. Just throw a little bit of shit out there and see what sticks to the wall and what doesn't. So, this is scummy. This is definitely scummy, but what are you going to do about it? From the Daily Wire. Tulsi Gabbard, back in the news again. Democrat Tulsi Gabbard blasts Biden. Border crisis is a direct result of your open border policy. Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, the former congresswoman from Hawaii, blamed President Biden and Vice President Harris on Wednesday for the crisis on the U.S. southern border. In a tweet, tagging both Biden and Harris, Gabbard wrote, "The humanitarian and national security crisis on the southern border is the direct result of your open border policy." As I said in my 2020 presidential campaign, we can't have a secure nation if we don't secure our borders, Gabby continued. Apparently Instagram is still going to be a butt. It's still going to cut off my live video after... I have no idea how even long it went, but... Okay, so apparently that's all we get for Instagram. Is, what, the first 40 minutes maybe? Gabbard's tweet comes as Del Rio, Texas has been flooded with tens of thousands of illegal aliens, mostly from Haiti, in recent days, and the Biden admin has been widely criticized for their slow response. Once the administration did respond, some of the Haitian illegal aliens allegedly became violent, attacking U.S. pilots, biting federal immigration agents, and overtaking a bus after they learned they were being removed for violating U.S. federal immigration law. However, reports that Biden is actually conducting a widespread expulsions have been called into question after subsequent reports said that thousands of Haitian migrants that illegally entered our country were let into the U.S. and given notices to appear or notices to return to an immigration office and have their cases processed. Haitians have been freed on a very large scale in recent days, according to one U.S. official who put the figure in the thousands, the Associated Press reported. The official, who has direct knowledge of operations, was not authorized to discuss the matter Tuesday and spoke on condition of anonymity. The report noted that the latest development from the Democrat President Joe Biden's border crisis is undercutting the Biden admin's public statements that the thousands in the camp faced immediate expulsion. The report said that many have been released into the U.S. with notices to appear at immigration offices within the next 2 months. A second U.S. official, also with direct knowledge, and speaking on the condition of anonymity, said a large number of Haitians were being processed under immigration laws and not being placed on expulsion flights to Haiti that started on Sunday. The AP's report said, later adding the releases in the U.S. were occurring despite the signaling of a massive effort to expel Haitians on flights to Haiti under the pandemic-related authority that denies migrants an opportunity to seek asylum. So, and that's one of the things that are going on with this. And, I mean, if the numbers are what they say the numbers are, then, yes, there are still going to be thousands of people who are going to be remaining in the country. Remember, there were almost 15,000 people there. I think some reports said over 15,000 people were there in the tent city. But the only people they appear to be expelling from the country are military-aged males. Military-aged single males. Which means the women and the children and the family males are still being allowed to stay here and get processed. So that actually, according to all the outlets I found, that's actually accurate, that they are leaving thousands here in the country to apply for asylum or have their cases processed or, worst case scenario, disappear into the country. But don't worry, they're getting gathered up with whips. Alright, let's keep going. I do have another one here from NPR as we shift gears again and move along, moving away from Border Patrol and what happened there into the coronavirus. Starting from NPR, the COVID vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11 is safe and effective, Pfizer says. This is from Jacqueline Diaz, and National Progressive Radio has told you that this is right. So you have to accept it as fact. And you also have to donate because you have to accept what they say as fact. You have to donate to them. National Progressive Radio. Give them all your money. You mean our money, comrade. Because otherwise they can't spread their communist ideals across the world. NPR, National Progressive Radio. Donate our money, comrade. Let's see what they have to say. The first results from the highly anticipated trial studying the effectiveness and safety of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 5 to 11 showed promising results. The pharmaceutical company said early results of their trial indicated the vaccine is safe for children and establishes a strong antibody response against the virus. Giving a 2-dose regimen of 10 micrograms administered 21 days apart for children between 5 and 11 was well tolerated. According to Pfizer and BioNTech, side effects were also generally comparable to those of people between the ages of 16 and 25 who received the vaccine. The trial used a similar vaccine dosage, 10 micrograms, rather than the 30 microgram dose used for people 12 and older. The dosage was selected as the preferred dose for safety and effectiveness in young children. News of the results came as pediatric cases of COVID-19 are increasing amid a nationwide surge of infections. Since July, pediatric cases of COVID-19 have... Donate now! Since July, pediatric cases of COVID-19 have risen about 240% in the U.S., underscoring the public health need for vaccination. These trials provide a strong foundation for seeking authorization of our vaccine for children 5 to 11 years old, and we plan to submit them to the FDA and other regulators with urgency, said Albert Bourla, chairman of the CEO for Pfizer. Over the past 9 months, hundreds of millions of people ages 12 and older from around the world have received our COVID-19 vaccine. We are eager to extend the protection afforded by the vaccine to the younger population, subject to regulatory authorization, especially as we track the spread of the Delta variant and the substantial threat it poses to children, Bourla said in a statement, as he sat back and counted the dollar bills that were flowing into him from the federal government. Despite the strong results, it will be some time before the general public can see an official rollout of vaccines for children ages 5 to 11. Once analysis of the trial is completed, Pfizer and BioNTech will submit the results in the near term to the Food and Drug Administration for review and possible emergency use authorization. And this, by the way, I didn't put these in the stack, but I need to. This made a massive level of disturbing tweets, including some that I've had to just stick around and pick up. So let's, I gotta grab a couple of these here. A little bit on-air production for you guys. So this one we're gonna do... But there was one other one I wanted to grab. Let me see if I can find it off of my profile. Yes, this one. On-air production. So this one here, Jessica Ballinger, who is a blue check, and I don't know why. Let's see why. Lifestyle Family, Ballinger Family on YouTube, Ballinger Family, Mom of Bailey, 13 Jacob, 12 Parker, 8 Duncan, 4 Luke, 1 Teddy, 0. She tweets out, Parker, when I read him the headlines that Pfizer's early results of the trials are showing COVID vaccines are safe and effective for 5 to 11 years old. And it looks like he's supposed to be excited for this. I think that he should be terrified because they want to come back out here. But, I mean, I looked at this and I used my regular tagline for something like this. It's not a cult. Don't worry, you guys, it's not a cult. Your 5-year-old is definitely excited. Or what is this? Parker. Parker is 8. Your 8-year-old, who is super excited to go and get another needle in his arm. What 8-year-old is excited to get a needle in his arm? I didn't like doing it when they did the MMR in school. And I was 13. I didn't like it then. But don't worry, it's not a cult. And then this one here on top of that doesn't have anything to do with pediatric cases of it, but I still thought it was funny. This is Patricia Carvelis, says, memories of the happiest day of my life, hashtag get vaxxed. And there's Patricia Carvelis getting a needle in her arm too. And I quote tweeted this out and I said, so this is the highlight, huh? Sorry your life sucks. But I believe I also tweeted a response to this one. Not a highlight, but a response to this one. I don't think I'm going to see it, though, because I think it's buried in everybody else who ratioed the fuck out of this. Yeah, it's buried in this. I'm not going to find that up here. But I did remark back to a particular hot weekend that I had when I went out with a girl who is now a Kohl's model. Probably one of the hottest girls that I have ever been on a date with. And, you know, I look back experiences in my life, and I would like to think that even if I came into the religious understanding of this vaccine the moment my lips touched the lips of a model, or a model to be, I should say. I would like to think that that might outshine this, no matter what. I'd like to think that that memory would be a happier memory. Or like with Patricia, the birth of her kids, her wedding day. The day she got a job that got her to be blue check verified on Twitter. What does this girl even do? Presenter at RN Drive, weekdays at 6 p.m. on ABC News. Yes, the day you started working at ABC, I would think that would outshine getting a needle shoved in your arm. But hey, who am I to judge? It's not a cult after all. But, you know who doesn't like the vaccine mandates? BLM. Reading from Yahoo News via the Washington Examiner, BLM organizer says de Blasio vaccine mandate weaponized against black community. From Matthew Miller. The co-founder of New York's Black Lives Matter chapter said New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's citywide vaccine mandate is targeting the black community and creating conditions akin to segregation. 72% of black people in the city, from ages 18 to 44, are unvaccinated. Shavona Newsom said during a Monday protest in New York City. So what's going to stop this NYPD, from rounding up black people, from snatching them off the train, off the bus? Newsom warned the group could respond to an uprising similar to the ones that followed the death of George Floyd in the summer of 2020. We're putting the city on notice that your mandate will not be another racist social distancing practice. Black people are not going to stand by, or you will see another uprising that is not a threat, that's a promise, she said. The vaccination passport is not a free passport to racism. Kimberly Bernard, the co-founder of the Black Women's March, made a similar claim that COVID-19 vaccines are being used to target black people and other minorities. We're serving notice on the mayor, on the governor, on the restaurant industry that we will not allow you to use this pandemic. Vaccination cards and masks is another reason to be racist, to put us in prison, because there's enough of us in there, Bernard said. De Blasio issued a vaccine mandate in August requiring New Yorkers to show proof of vaccination to enter indoor restaurants, gyms, and other entertainment centers. Yeah, and I mean, that's just it. And the article goes on, of course, but I mean, that's the long and short of it. After the Tuskegee experiments, I don't blame them, but the black community is getting vaccinated in far less percentages than the white community is, which means that they are far less likely to have a vaccine passport or have to show other papers at the door. And then, yes, of course, on top of that, even if they do go and get vaccinated, they've got the card, they hand it over to the bouncer at the door. It says, yes, here, Mr. Gestapo, yes, I have my papers. You know, what's to stop an enterprising white supremacist, because they're supposedly around every corner, from looking at this and saying, where's the rest of your ID? I need the rest of your papers. Do you have your walking papers? Are you allowed to be here? Are you free to be here? Is this a fake? Is this, I mean, any other number of things that could come out of something like this. Just from having to show an extra form of ID up at the door. Could you wonder why the black community, after everything they have gone through, not the fake stuff that they keep trying to tell you they've gone through, but everything they actually have gone through in this country, can you understand why they might be a little bit apprehensive to do something like this? Because I can. And I would love to see what would happen now when Democrats get protested by BLM. Will the news show it? I found almost nothing on this Monday protest. I found almost nothing on this. This is the first news article I've seen that mentioned it, and I looked for it on Tuesday. Nothing that was green check verified was running this story. Apparently it happened because now they're coming out here, they're interviewing people out here, but nothing green check verified was doing this. It's almost like BLM isn't allowed to come out on an odd numbered year. But we will see what happens with this. From the Daily Wire. Biden job approval tanks among black voters over vaccine mandate. From Emily Zanotti. President Biden's approval has been steadily sinking over the last few weeks. He's at just 43% approval in the latest Gallup poll out on Wednesday. But his decision to empower the Occupational Health and Safety Administration to police COVID-19 vaccinations in thousands of workplaces is taking him with the black voters, specifically per Morning Consult. The news seems to coincide with a protest out of New York City alleging that Mayor de Blasio's own vaccine mandate, which requires individuals seeking to dine indoors at restaurants have at least one dose of the vaccine, is providing cover for racism and may itself be racist. Morning Consult found that Biden's approval dropped a striking 12 points among black voters September 8th, the day before the White House announced a comprehensive new COVID-19 mitigation plan that included a new OSHA rule, which, when drafted, will demand workplaces with 100 or more employees either require their workers to be vaccinated against COVID or submit to rigorous testing for the virus. I have got to step away for a half a second. I will be right back. One day, there will be an allergy medicine that a person can take and get over the counter that does not put me into a trance and make me into a zombie, but also works. The Zyrtec bottle says non-drowsy. Well, the Zyrtec bottle is full of fucking shit. There's a reason I don't take what I have, and I do have a half bottle of Zyrtec in the cabinet, but as soon as I take that, I will have no focus, I'll have no nothing. It'll be like I haven't slept for 4 days. Otherwise, I've got to suffer through with what we're going on here and having to step away every 15 minutes because my nose is running too powerfully. Thank you, allergy season in Wisconsin. And remember, last year we didn't have to deal with this. All right, let's keep going. President Biden's sweeping federal rules to mandate vaccines hasn't hurt him with overall electorate, but it appears to have spurred a weakening of his standing with one of the most reliable pieces of the Democrat Party's coalition, black voters, Morning Consult noted. Since Morning Consult, political intelligence surveys conducted immediately before Biden's September 9th mandate announcement, the president's net approval rating, the share who approve of his job performance minus the share who disapprove, has fallen 12 percentage points among black voters. Let's drop that back a little bit more. Driven by a 17-point drop among the unvaccinated black voters, the outlet said. His approval rating among black voters is still high, but Democrats are looking at razor-thin margins in 2022, and 10 points from a key demographic could be the difference between holding both houses of Congress or watching the federal legislature flip into Republican hands. The September erosion accounted for more than 2/5 of the decline in perception of Biden's job performance to date among black voters, providing a stark warning sign for Democrats ahead of next year's midterms. Morning Consult pointed out, while black voters who helped push Biden over the top against President Trump in key states last year, honk honk, are unlikely to abandon the Democrat Party en masse to back Republicans on the ballot next year. Low turnout from the group could have dire consequences for Democrats in Congress who already face an early enthusiasm gap. And the vaccine mandate appears to be to blame. So that's what we see coming back up off of that. It's an interesting demographic. It's an interesting way to watch the Biden presidency drop and fall as we go. But that's where we go from there. All right. from Newsweek. I love how they're trying to frame this too, by the way. This is hilarious. The way they're trying to come back and frame this and come back and say, oh, well, this could never happen, in spite of the fact that 2 days ago we read from Newsweek, by the way, that University of California, Riverside is attempting to put mRNA into vegetables and salads to get the distribution out there better, to make it easier so people don't have to worry about the needle in their arm or hide it in your grocery store, one of the two. Michael Flynn spreads conspiracy theory on the deep state putting vaccines in salad dressing, from John Jackson. Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor to the Trump admin, appeared on a show dedicated to election fraud and COVID-19 conspiracies, recently endorsed a completely unsubstantiated theory that the deep state is planning to put COVID-19 vaccines in salad dressing. Twitter user Ron Filipkowski shared a clip of Flynn's comments on Wednesday morning. In the video, Flynn has said, somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine in a salad dressing. Have you seen this? I mean, and I'm thinking to myself, this is Bizarro World, right? This is definitely Bizarro World. These people are seriously thinking about how to impose their will on us in our society, and it has to stop. Let's see if we can actually get this. Man, this guy puts up a lot of videos. I mean, we could obviously go to the original tweet if we really needed to, but because the article is archived, we can't just drop into it. Here we go. Let's listen.
I've said it from the day that I got here until whatever, that there is no connection. You've got Russia. If the president puts Russian salad dressing on his salad tonight, somehow that's a Russian connection. But every single person... No, I've said it from...
Okay, that wasn't the video. Was the tweet deleted? Is that why we can't find it? I wonder. Huh. No idea. Anyway. Flynn is a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant General who served as National Security Advisor for the first 22 days of the former President Trump's administration. He resigned from the position on February 13th, 2017, after reports surfaced that he had misled then Vice President Mike Pence and other officials about communications he had with Russian Ambassador to the U.S., Sergei Kislyak. His tenure as the National Security Advisor is the shortest in history. I mean, and this is all true. And I mean, once again, since when do we take the words of Michael Flynn as gospel? We shouldn't, but I mean, it's not exactly like this hasn't been touted before. UC Riverside, we're trying to find a way to get the mRNA into vegetables or grow them into vegetables so people can get the mRNA by consuming it. Well, isn't that going to be a great idea, as I stand here and tell you to grow your own vegetables at this point? Because they're going to try to find a way to inoculate you no matter what. Whether you like it or not. And if you don't think that they'll put that into the bag in the grocery store and send it out there, if they need to get to some goal of getting the mRNA into everybody, you're out of your mind. The fact that they're experimenting with it tells me that there's something else going on with this. But there we go. Here's an interesting one for you guys. From the New York Post, Anne Hathaway, Ciara, and more stars signed an open letter to help end the COVID-19 pandemic. From Samantha Ibrahim over at the New York Post. The COVID-19 pandemic is still raging on nearly 2 years after the disease was first identified, but have no fear, Hollywood is here to help. 70 entertainers signed an open letter to world leaders in a plea to help stymie the spread of the coronavirus. Coronavirus! The letter was constructed by the global nonprofit CARE. Model Iman is the organization's global advocate and helped urge leaders to increase their vaccination efforts. The letter was published Tuesday and coincides with the UN General Assembly and the global COVID-19 summit hosted by President Biden. The memo asks leaders to provide vaccines for 70% of the world's population by 2022. It also requests resources for countries with lower capital, more support for healthcare and workers, as well as vested interest in public education. The letter states, "None of us are safe until all of us are safe. We call on our leaders gathering at the UN Assembly session to boldly act together to end the COVID-19 everywhere." COVID-19 is now a man-made pandemic of apathy. Only 2% of people in low-income countries have received a single dose, leaving the world's most vulnerable to face COVID with no protection. This situation also lets new variants like Delta emerge and ravage the lives of millions. The letter calls on global leaders to make 7 billion vaccine doses available before the end of 2021 and an additional 7 billion doses by mid-2022 to fully vaccinate 70% of the world by next summer. To get this done, the world community must also invest in last-mile delivery systems, public education, and frontline healthcare workers to get vaccines from tarmacs into arms. Millions of doses could go to waste because low-income countries don't have the support they need to get vaccines to vulnerable people, the letter reads. We can save millions of lives and trillions in further economic damage by meeting this moment with the resources and political will needed to end the COVID-19 for everyone, because none of us are safe until all of us are safe. Now, I am not going to lie, I don't know who the vast majority of these people are. I looked through this list, and that's why this was so low, because I wanted to see who was all on this list, who was actually signing on to this letter. I know Malin Ackerman because I love The Watchmen. I love that movie. So I know that one, but I mean, Ciara, I've heard the name. I don't know who that is. I think she's some rapper or something. Anne Hathaway, obviously, I know. Who else is there? Annie Lennox, I know who that is. Ava Longoria. Idina Menzel, the Frozen singer. Deborah Messing, obviously. Alyssa Milano. Juliana Margulis, I've heard the name. I don't know who that is. But I know the name, at least. Most of these names I don't even know. Sarah Silverman, big surprise there. Michael Sheen. I don't know Michael. I know Martin and Charlie. I don't know Michael. Other than that, yeah, no, I don't know anybody else on this list. But I will put this list in the Discord if you guys want to go look and see if your favorite celebrity is on there. Let's do that right now. This has been an on-air production kind of show. We do a lot of it today. And with that, we will keep going. GOP operatives accused of funneling Russian cash to Trump from Lachlan Markey. A former senior aide to Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and Senator Rand Paul was indicted this month for allegedly funneling $25,000 from a wealthy unnamed Russian to former President Trump's re-election efforts. The Justice Department alleges that Jesse Benton, 43, the husband of Paul's niece and a veteran Republican staffer, orchestrated a scheme to conceal the illegal foreign donation with another GOP operative, Doug Weed. The indictment, unsealed on Monday, outlines the allegations of a convoluted money trail from an unnamed Russian national through a consulting firm run by Benton and to a Trump joint fundraising committee. The Russian national was determined to underwrite a Trump fundraising event in order to get a photo with the former president, according to communications between Benton and Weed cited in the indictment. The indictment alleges that Benton received $100,000 from the Russian national and passed on $25,000 to the joint fundraising committee, allegedly pocketing the remaining $75,000. Weed and Benton each face 6 criminal charges, including conspiracy and abetting to an illegal foreign political contributions. Efforts to reach Weed were not immediately successful. Benton did not immediately respond to requests for comments. Benton was previously convicted of filing false statements in connection with a scheme to funnel money from Ron Paul's 2012 presidential campaign to an influential Iowa politician who backed Paul's in the state presidential caucus. Trump pardoned Benton in December shortly before leaving office. Okay, well, my first question is going to be, did the Donald know about this? Because that's the first question I ask about all of this. They keep trying to pin this. It's Donald Trump. He's criminally orchestrating and masterminding all this. And, oh my God, It's just like the thing with the Trump organization in New York. Did he know about any of this? And furthermore, did he know that this guy embezzled 3/4 of the political contribution? What else has he embezzled? Is it just this one coming out because it came from a Russian? How much other money did he skim off the top or off the bottom? Really, honestly, he left the skim off the top. That actually went into the campaign coffers. He took 75% of that in-kind donation, which whether or not that was legal, that's an issue for another time. But he took 75% of that and put it into his pocket. All right, from the Hill. From the Hill, we'll talk about Katie Hill. Katie Hill launches effort to protect Democratic majority in the House. You guys might want to keep her away from that one. If I was, I don't even know who the head of the DNC is right now. I used to know. Who's the head of the DNC? Who is the head of, I said the head, not the, of the DNC? Jamie Harrison. If I was Jamie Harrison, I would go to Katie Hill and I would say, okay, thank you. We don't need your services. No, go enjoy your staffers of whatever work you're doing now. Go enjoy them. Go have fun. Go talk about doing a throuple. Just go. Bye-bye. Go get away. No. Your services are not needed here. Thank you. This is from Michael Schnell. Former Rep. Katie Hill launched a new effort on Tuesday to protect the Democratic majority in the House, backing 16 Democrat women running for re-election in next year's midterms. Oh, the jokes just write themselves. Hill, in a video announcing the initiative, said that because of the redistricting and Republican gerrymandering, Democrats are at a serious risk of losing the House in the midterms and losing everything that we've worked so hard for over the last few years. No, it has nothing to do with the massive inflation, the rise in gas prices, the vaccine mandates, losing the black vote. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just the redistricting, the gerrymandering. Don't look inside of your own party. Go and look outside and find whatever thing else you can do other than blame yourselves for what you've done. When I was elected in 2018, we took the majority by electing an incredible class of women, but now many of their seats are in jeopardy, she added. Oh, she's going to talk to us. Oh, she's going to talk to us.
I know we all have so much on our plates, but the next fight is already here. Redistricting is happening across the country, and Republicans are gerrymandering every seat that they can. That means that we are at serious risk of losing the House in the midterms and losing everything that we've worked so hard for over the last few years. When I was elected in 2018, we took the majority by electing an incredible class of women, but now many of their seats are in jeopardy. Her Time recently announced that we are supporting 16 Democratic women who are in some of the toughest races in the country. Terrifyingly, even if just one of those 16 loses, we will lose control of the House. I plan to spend the next year fighting to protect our Democratic majority and ensure that these amazing women leaders are able to continue to serve us in Congress. I hope you'll join me. At Her Time, we will be constantly monitoring all of the races and redistricting battles so that we can direct resources in real time to those who need it most, where your investment will make the biggest impact. Please make a contribution today that will go directly to our efforts to protect the House and support these 16 frontline women. Thank you, and keep up the fight.
Please make a contribution, please. Please. Please make sure that these women stay in power forever and that they don't get taken over by an evil, evil man GOP. Yeah, I would keep her as far away from campaigning as I could if I was in the DNC. Speaking of election news, Lieutenant Governor Mac Miller assaulted by security thugs and thrown out of a Clark County Commissioners meeting. I do want to correct this tweet. He is not the lieutenant governor. He is a candidate for lieutenant governor, which actually makes this worse.
Don't hurt him! Don't hurt him! Don't hurt him! Don't hurt him! You all right? Hey, that's your lieutenant governor! What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? That's your lieutenant governor! God damn, dude! What do you guys think you're doing? What do you guys think you're doing? What is this, a criminal? This ain't a criminal. This is a citizen. You guys are done. You guys are done.
Call 911.
We're calling the emergency. You can't stop us from calling emergency. No, you cannot stop us from calling emergency. No.
What do you guys think you're doing?
You guys are hurting people.
Are you kidding me?
You guys are hurting people.
Are you kidding me? What do you guys think you're doing? Just because you got a badge doesn't mean you can beat up people. You guys need to put yourselves under arrest. You guys need to put yourselves under arrest. Put yourselves in the back of your squad car and take.
Well, I can say this. Yes, the tweet says that he is lieutenant governor. Of course, the facts are that he's a candidate. But after something like this gets out, and the outpouring of support that came with this, I think he might have this one in the bag at this point. That's just me. But maybe I'm wrong. I had an article that went with this. I don't know where the fuck it went. Oh, there it goes. Put in the wrong place again. From Newsweek, Mac Miller, Nevada lieutenant governor candidate, forcibly thrown out of meeting. From Dara Roche. A candidate for lieutenant governor of Nevada was forcibly removed from a meeting about COVID-19 misinformation on Tuesday in scenes captured on video and shared to social media. Footage shows Mac Miller being forcibly removed by 2 security guards in a meeting of the Clark County Commission in Las Vegas, where misinformation about the virus was declared a public health crisis. Multiple videos shared on social media show the security officers ejecting Miller and bringing him through a metal detector that shakes and then almost falls to the ground as a result of the struggle. One video posted to YouTube and apparently filmed by Miller himself inside the commission chambers showed him telling security guards not to shove him before later claiming they had done just that. During a raucous scene where several people were speaking loudly or shouting, Miller told the guards, "Now don't get rough," while speaking to camera about the meeting being shut down and people being made to leave. Miller asked one guard for his name and badge number and mentioned his time in the military. He could be heard to say, "And there's no way that you're going to stop me from protecting these people's fucking rights." Other videos posted to Twitter showed Miller being removed from the building and the metal detector falling before being caught by guards. Miller also ended up on the floor after he was pushed through the metal detector. So, there are a couple sides to this. Now, as a candidate, first thing I have to know is whether or not Miller was authorized to be in here, into this meeting. If he is not a public official, if this was a meeting for public officials, he would be trespassing at that point. But that does not for a second excuse the treatment that these security guards did. I mean, that wouldn't excuse it if it was police to do that. The fact that security guards makes it worse, but that wouldn't excuse it if it was police. In fact, honestly, if this is a public safety meeting, then it should be police that are guarding it, not private security guards. A capacity. But regardless, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Not to a candidate. And yeah, this is probably going to be the campaign ad that gets this guy elected. This was, I mean, I don't know anything about Mac Mills, I don't know anything about his politics. I don't know anything about his platform. I don't know anything about any of the rest of that. But what I know is the fact that this is campaign fodder in and of itself. You need a campaign ad, you have one. They are so afraid of this guy's agenda that they threw him on the ground. Threw a metal detector. But that's where we go from that. Let's grab one from the Oregonian. A little bit more redistricting news, since we talked about that a couple days ago. Oregon House Republicans say they're at an impasse over Democrats' redistricting plan. From Hillary Burrode of the Oregonian and Oregonian Live, and Mark Friesen, also of the Oregonian and Oregon Live. Oregon Democrats' congressional and legislative redistricting plans, set for a vote in next week's special session, face a roadblock in the state house, where Republican leader Christine Drazen said on Thursday that her caucus is united in its opposition to Democrats' proposed maps. State lawmakers wrapped up 4 days of lengthy public hearings in their initial congressional and state legislative district proposals September 13th, and they are scheduled to meet Monday for a special session to vote on final plans. Democrats and Republicans privately discussed potential changes to the Democrats' proposed maps over the last couple days, but Democrats who hold supermajorities in both chambers had not released any final plans for the public to see until Thursday night. Drazen, who is from Canby, said in an interview Thursday afternoon that Democrats, including House Speaker Tina Kotek of Portland, have made clear that they plan to push ahead with House and Senate district maps drawn by the Senate Democrats with input, but not support from Senate Republicans. It definitely is a take-it-or-leave-it offer right now, Drazen said, adding that Democrats only appeared willing to make modest changes to strengthen the positions of some incumbent legislatures. It's funny to me that they're doing this, and, I mean, honestly, who could have seen any of this coming? Gerrymandering is bad when Republicans do it, but it's okay when Democrats do it, and do it without input of the opposing party. We hear from Katie Hill, oh, gerrymandering is going to cost us the House. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And yet, here in Oregon, where they have supermajorities, they're going to do nothing but redistrict to keep their power, keep their majority in both the U.S. House and probably in their state houses as well. I'd love to see their actual state gerrymandering maps, because that's also going to have to be adjusted for population differential as well. All right, from ABC. Bush to headline fundraiser for Cheney after Trump backs foe. From Jill Colvin over at the Associated Press. Former President W will headline a fundraiser next month for top Donald Trump critic Liz Cheney, turning her re-election race into a proxy war of sorts between the ex-presidents who represent two competing factions of the Republican Party. Get him out of here. I don't have much to say about this. An old school neocon, warmonger pig, is supporting an old school neocon, warmonger fucking pig. Why am I surprised? Why am I supposed to be surprised by this? No more Bushes, no more Cheneys anywhere in politics. Get her voted the fuck out. Alright, from the Daily Wire. Afghan refugees face federal charges after trying to rape child, strangle woman in Wisconsin. According to the DOJ, from Ryan Saavedra. 2 Afghan refugees were brought into the United States following Democrat President Joe Biden's disastrous pullout from the country are facing federal charges related to allegedly trying to rape a minor and suffocate a woman. Barula Nouri is charged with attempting to engage in a sexual act with a minor using force against that person, and with 3 counts of engaging in a sexual act with a minor, with 1 count alleging use of force. The Department of Justice said in a statement. The indictment alleges that that the victims had not yet attained the age of 16 and were at least 4 years younger than the defendant. Mohammed Haroon, 32, is charged with assaulting his spouse by strangling and suffocating her, the statement continued. The indictment alleges that the assault occurred on September 7, 2021. Mohammed, the statement said the cases were not related to each other. The DOJ added, Nouri and Ahmad were charged previously in complaints filed in district court. They made an initial appearance in Madison on September 16th and are being detained at the Dane County Jail. Nouri and Ahmad are scheduled for arraignment tomorrow, September 23rd at 9:30 a.m. and 10:15 a.m. respectively, before U.S. Magistrate Judge Stephen L. Crocker. If convicted, Nouri faces a mandatory minimum penalty of 30 years and a maximum life in federal prison on the charges of alleged use of force, and a maximum of 15 on the other two charges. Ahmad faces a maximum of 10 years. The charges against them are the result of investigations by the FBI and the Fort McCoy Police Department. The Biden admin has repeatedly claimed that it's vetting the Afghan refugees that it's bringing into this country even after the admin left behind thousands of SIV applicants and possibly more than 100 Americans. So it's a little bit unclear on who the victims were in this. It looks like the one is the guy's wife that he tried to strangle, which tells me that they are probably refugees as well, and also tells me that if I had to guess, and I know the way the Daily Wire actually headlined this to try to invoke emotion off of this, they broke out of Fort McCoy and they're raping and strangling people around town. If I had to guess, and that's pretty much all I do here, if I had to guess on this, I would posit that this was probably the guy, obviously strangling his wife, so there's that. But the other guy is probably just trying to get some from his child bride. Because remember, we had a lot of that problem as people were trying to escape and be refugees from Afghanistan. He was trying to get some from his child bride. She said no. And then the FBI got involved and determined that she's 14 probably. That's what I'm going to guess has happened. But the way, of course, that they headline this out and say, oh, well, okay, gang, the Afghan refugees, they're facing federal charges after trying to rape a child and strangle a woman in Wisconsin. Okay, this is what you're supposed to feel about this. This is what you're supposed to do. When I'm guessing that that's probably not exactly the way that it went down. All right, from CNN. Lawmakers storm out of classified Afghanistan briefing after questions go unanswered. From Kylie Atwood. Multiple lawmakers angrily stormed out of a classified briefing with members of the Biden admin on Afghan on Wednesday, according to 3 sources familiar with the briefing. Republican and Democratic lawmakers grew frustrated after the State Department, Pentagon Department of Homeland Security, and Office of the Director of National Security officials failed to answer their basic questions during the briefing for members of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the sources told CNN. State Department officials, both privately and publicly, continue to say that about 100 Americans are still in Afghanistan who want to get out. Some lawmakers have told CNN they do not understand that accounting, given the department had said they evacuated more than 75 Americans from Afghanistan through evacuation efforts in the last few weeks. State Department officials have said that the dynamic situation on the ground is the reason they cannot give a more precise figure. A State Department spokesman told CNN on Wednesday that as a general matter, we do not comment on communications with Congress, especially those conducted in a classified setting. Representative Michael McCall of Texas, the top Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, who attended the briefing, told CNN's Jake Tapper on The Lead on Wednesday that everyone walked out from the meeting and he questioned whether the administration officials knew the number of Americans still in the country. You know, the fact is, I believe there's still hundreds of Americans still left behind enemy lines. The majority of the interpreters that you and I talked about did not get out, he said in reference to Afghan interpreters who had worked for the U.S. military, adding that he has received horrific stories from those in the country. I don't think they know all the answers, quite honestly, he said of the administration. Evacuation flights continue to depart Afghanistan at a slow pace, including one over the weekend with more than 21 U.S. citizens aboard. Officials say it takes a tremendous amount of work, especially due to coordination required between U.S., Qatar, and the Taliban to do background checks on people who do not have all the necessary documents. The Biden admin's goal is to make the flights out of the country routine, but that can only be achieved when commercial flights are going in and out of the Kabul airport, and it could take weeks before that happens, State Department officials said. The planned efforts to coordinate between the State Department and private individuals or groups, which came to fruition after initial tensions between the two sides, are now underway. The State Department holds twice-weekly calls with Afghan evac, coalition, and those involved describe the current situation as less chaotic than it initially was. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with this, but the promise that we got from the Biden admin was that every American and everybody who wanted to be out would be out by September 1st. And that was broken. The fact that there's anybody over there with the Taliban takeover of the government is a problem, and we need to address it quickly. This isn't the time for partisan bickering. This is the time to go back and try to figure out what to do and how to get this all fixed. So, with that, we will see what happens there and watch that story. This was just funny. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a plant, by the way. There's no way that she is doing this on her own volition, first off. And number two, there's no way that she is serious. I don't even want to watch the live. I just want to point out the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene went to a briefing in the House with a meme. Who does that? There's no way this is a serious congresswoman. If you told me the Justice Democrats put her into place to make Republicans look bad, I would believe you at this point. To try to keep the MAGA movement going. Oh, don't you know it's all them MAGA people up there in Congress, and that's what all them there Republicans are. Them they're all them MAGA people. That's what this is. That's what this woman is. She went to a briefing with a meme. Oh, okay, so this is one that we do have to talk about, though. First, I've got the archive tweet. Leafbug has locked his account down. So I archived the tweet, and we have the picture to go with it. Leafbug says, "What the actual fuck? My friend's parents just received this letter at the restaurant. Please share this if you live in Illinois, because this is actual domestic terrorism." Some of this I'm actually not going to be able to read out loud, because this is going to YouTube. And Twitch, by that matter. Some of these words I cannot say out loud. But we're going to read as much of this as we can to tell you what's actually going on here, what they're trying to pass off on this. This is documented and letterheaded from the Cook County Circuit Court, Skokie Courthouse, 5600 Old Orchard Road, Skokie, Illinois, 60077. Which is actually the address of the Skokie Courthouse. Dated Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. Take notice. Our community and the United States is no place for, let's say, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, gentlemen who like other gentlemen, and people who are gender non-conforming. I think that's cleaned up enough for YouTube. Hi, Susan. I see you. We definitely don't need your Kung Flu, like other viruses that come from outside the United States, and we definitely don't need your shitty restaurants in our community. If you don't close immediately, you and your group will face gang actions indefinitely, and you know just what all a gang can do. You can't run to the police or courts because we are the law. So long, asshole. Judge Jeffrey L. Warnick, who is also an actual judge in Skokie. The White Judge Club. P.S. The best part about being a judge is that you can get away with anything. No signature, no court seal. I mean, there's always a wet signature on anything that comes from a judge correspondence. But this is just typed out. This is an electronic signature. This is an e-signature. The tweet goes on with the actual fuck. My friend's parents just received this letter at the restaurant. Please share if you live in Illinois because this is actual domestic terrorism. This is the kind of white nationalism that Trump enabled and encouraged. The restaurant was already struggling due to COVID, and now they have to deal with this. In the name of the restaurant is Twin Dragon in Niles, Illinois. Please support it if you can. These both came out September 20th. A little bit later, 23 hours before this tweet was archived. So clearly this isn't a real letter due to the lack of a court stamp or any official seal sign. It's most likely a hate group fronting as a judge to scare away my friend's parents. Either way, I thank you all for getting the word out. Also, I apologize for the lack of TWs. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that this guy wrote this letter and took a picture of it and posted it on social media. Leafbug's account is currently locked down, so nobody can go access it. I had to archive this tweet to get it. I know I use Twitter all the time off this, but I had to archive this tweet to get it. Yeah, I looked at this. I see Eric in the chat says, so obviously fake, like Jussie level fake. Yeah. I wonder if there was a tuna sandwich involved in this. Snoopy Gamer Wolf Dante writes, no, the OP is the one who wrote it so they can make the judge look bad for something he didn't do. The part that got me about this is 13,000 likes on this tells me 13,000 people believe this. That's what makes me sad. That makes me very, very sad. And in further Chicago news, Leo Terrell sounds off on Lori Lightfoot's plan to now refund Chicago police. From Fox News staff. Civil rights attorney and Fox News contributor Leo Terrell joined Fox and Friends on Tuesday and blasted Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot over the decision to refund the police department, calling it a political stunt. What do we have here for, how long is this, 3 minutes? Yeah, let's do a little bit of this one.
Well, once again, the city of Chicago rocked by yet another bloody weekend with 61 people shot, 12 people killed. Among those hurt, a 3-year-old boy, another child. Amid the surging violence, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is now unveiling a $16.7 billion plan that will, among other things, boost police spending after previously slashing nearly $60 million from the department budget. Joining us right now to react is Fox News contributor and civil rights attorney Leo Terrell. Leo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So apparently her new budget is going to boost police spending to $1.9 billion, up from $1.7 billion. So they're going to go up a couple $100 million, which is curious because obviously they've got a crime problem, but it's really not so curious because she's up for re-election.
Absolutely. This is too little and too late. This is a political stunt. As you said, she's running for re-election. She cut the budget last year. She is a friend of Black Lives Matter. I can ask all the viewers, what has...
Okay, and I mean, that makes it pretty easy to see what's going on here with Lightfoot. I mean, she's coming up right now. She's coming up on a re-election term, and one thing you need to understand about, and I know that my friend Quest is from New York, so he understands machine politics, as well as the people around Chicago is, but, I mean, you don't get elected mayor of Chicago without the backing of the police union, which is run by the mob. You don't get elected mayor without that. So now we're coming out here looking at re-election. Okay, yes, you've kowtowed and kneeled to all the progressives by defund the police. Look at me, I defunded the police. And now you're sitting here without the mob backing. Without the backing of the people who will make the phone calls and break the kneecaps to get you reelected. So now let's throw a few $1 million back into the police department. On top of this, people leaving Chicago in droves because it is not safe. And like I said before, my feet have never touched Chicago. My tires have, but my feet have never touched Chicago. And they never will, if this keeps up. I mean, I'd love to go down and see, like, the Shedd Aquarium or something like that. I like water. I'm calmed by water. I've never been to a big indoor aquarium like that. But I see no reason to spend money in Chicago to go see something like that. I see no reason for it at all. I think that would be a stupid idea, in fact. But, yeah. Political stunt indeed. Alright. Guys. I gotta skip the Gabby Petito stuff. I do want to touch on this linguistic one before we do a thing that I like and thing that I hate. But we're gonna skip the Petito stuff, because really, honestly, until there's a trial, and until we start seeing the linguistics of, he's guilty because he's a straight white man, I don't care. Nothing I do reporting is going to bring her back. Enforcement is doing everything they can right now to go and bring the guy into justice. This is still a local story. This is not a federal story. But we'll talk about some of the linguistics once the trial comes out, because I'm sure this guy's going to get a fair trial because this was so publicized. But I want to touch on one from NPR here for you guys. Another one from NPR. An ancient tablet, stolen, then acquired by Hobby Lobby, will be returned to Iraq. This is from James Dubeck. And remember, give that donation because NPR needs your money. And I'm not going to go too into depth with this particular article, just because there's not a lot to it. I mean, this is going back to its rightful place. A 100-year-old clay tablet was looted from an Iraqi museum 30 years ago, is headed back to Iraq. Known as the Gilgamesh Dream Tablet, it was acquired by the company Hobby Lobby in 2014 for display in the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. U.S. authorities seized it in 2019, saying it was stolen and needed to be returned. The return is happening Thursday at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian as part of the group of 17,000 looted antiquities that the U.S. agreed to return to Iraq. Some of them went back in July. And, I mean, that's all well and cool. And, I mean, the Epic of Gilgamesh is a tale from, I believe, so that is modern-day Iraq. And, therefore, it does belong there. I do hope that Iraq and the Middle East stay safe enough that it doesn't get destroyed. This is a piece of human history that does need to be preserved forever. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is the two different ways that this is framed. Now, of course, we're going to look at the NPR tweet that I got the article from. And I'm going to read the full article myself on my own time, because this kind of stuff actually fascinates me. Middle Eastern cradle of civilization history, where the Garden of Eden is, where the Epic of Gilgamesh took place, whether real or not. This kind of stuff fascinates me, but we're on the clock. NPR tweets out, an ancient tablet, stolen, then acquired by Hobby Lobby, will be returned to Iraq. You know, because I don't know that Hobby Lobby, when they acquired it, I don't know that they knew that this was stolen artifact. I think that this was just something that was put up to auction, and Hobby Lobby looked up and said, this is cool, this is something that tells the story of our history, and possibly some biblical history as well. We want to have this and put it in a museum. I honestly think that's what happened there. But if you read from Occupy Democrats on their Twitter thread, breaking, a 100-year-old clay tablet with inscriptions in ancient Mesopotamia that was looted from an Iraqi museum 30 years ago and sold to the extremists at Hobby Lobby for $1.7 million is being confiscated by the U.S. authorities and being sent back to Iraq, where it belongs. I mean, do you see the difference in the tone and tenor? And NPR is no friend to Hobby Lobby. But Occupy, the progressive extremist movement, has an agenda to fill. Anything that has to do with Hobby Lobby is bad, and Hobby Lobby needs to be shut down, and we can't have Hobby Lobby. It's the linguistics of it. That's what we need to pay attention to with this. Alright, last one we'll do before a thing that I like and a thing that I hate is just one other tweet that I found this morning before we got started. No, it was last night actually, before I went to bed. But I thought it was worth looking at. Because it was funny. Cal Matters tweets out, California is running out of water. And then they've got an article that goes with it. But California is running out of water. That is, by the way, taking the water from the Colorado that the rest of the country allows to go there. And I said, when people talk about California secession, when they talk about making, United States too, and saying, well, California will have all the agriculture, they'll feed USA too, like Sarah Silverman said. Yeah, no, you don't have the water for that. Yes, you have the arable land. Yes, I understand that. But you don't have the water for that. And if USA 1 decides to put a dam across the Colorado, you're fucked. In a hurry. You're done, and the little experiment of secession of USA 2 is over. If you're going to put all your farmland reliance over on California. Now, what would probably be proposed as USA 2, as Sarah Silverman said, there is some arable land that goes with that. They're not going to get out of the Midwest because the Midwest is not going to cede and give themselves over to USA 2, but regardless, yeah, there are other places with arable land. Western Mass, upstate New York would probably go with USA 2. Places like that. Some of the places down towards Virginia, there's arable land. I mean, it's not like they don't have arable land in other places, but the fact that they all want to depend on California's agriculture to feed their entire country is laughable, given the fact that just a couple days later, we see this article. All right, now let's do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate and head out of here for the day. All right, let's start with thing that I like. Thing that I like today. So this is far enough away from me that I'm not doxing myself, even though I'm pretty sure you guys kind of have a general idea, if you know Wisconsin geography, of where I live. Because I haven't made it exactly a secret. I live in southern Wisconsin. I'm close to Janesville. Because that's where I go to town to get food, groceries, and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm in Rock County. You guys all know that. That's southern Wisconsin. I'm somewhere in Rock County. That's all that I will divulge. But, yeah. But with this, I went up this weekend, and a lot of you guys saw the pictures. I decided, and I started hiking last year, but most of the trails around me are very, very, very flat and even. They're not challenging at all. They're very... There's nothing to them. But instead, I decided to go up, and I'd gone down to like Rock Cut in Illinois, which is somewhat close by. I went down there for a day. I think it was 2 weeks ago I went down there. And some of their trails are a little bit more aggressive. They're not hugely more aggressive. But it's not dead flat like it is around here. So I went down there and enjoyed that a couple weeks ago. And then this past weekend, I went a little bit out of my way, drove a couple hours, and visited Devil's Lake State Park over by Wisconsin Dells. And the first thing that I did, of course, was I went out and I tackled the most aggressive trail that there was. I didn't even go for the easy ones. I didn't intend to go for the most aggressive one at first, but I looked up and I said, oh, this one looks aggressive. And then as I get further and further up the hill, it gets more and more aggressive. A lot of you guys saw the pictures and how far up I actually was. Looks like it was 1,100 feet off the ground at my main point here, but this is the website for this particular trail, Balanced Rock Trail. Difficulty challenging. Why hike it? Great views of the lake, see the Balanced Rock Formation, access the top of the East Bluff, a difficult steep climbing trail with stone steps on the south base of the East Bluff. Can be very busy in the summer season. Spectacular views of Devil's Lake. The famous Balanced Rock Formation is about 2/3 of the way to the top of the trail. I don't think it's quite that far. I think it's maybe 1/3 of the way to the top of the trail. 0.4 miles approximate hiking time, 1 hour. Which I explored a little bit further than just the trail. There were a couple little small sub-trails that went off of there that had some interesting climbs and some interesting views as well. Winter use not recommended, often icy and snow-covered, which I didn't realize you could do state park in the winter, but apparently you can. And there are some of the photos that that various users have. Most of the photos I have are either buried back in my mentions on Twitter or in the Discord, which I have promised that we will not show clips of the Discord anywhere in public. So we won't get to go off and see the photos that I took, but a lot of you who follow me on Twitter have already seen them. this was, and the fact that I just got up and made the most challenging hike in the park, I'm happy that I was able to do that and get up and do some stuff like that. I mean, physical fitness is something we need to pay more attention to as a country. That's part of the problem, is that the coronavirus, one of the big comorbidities that takes people out is being overweight. And, well, I fit that category, unfortunately. And I'm trying to correct it. I'm eating better. Doing keto again. I'm actually going to do Noom, but I'm going to use the keto for a couple months to get myself into a better starting position. A better position, perhaps, to which I can do it easier if I go with Noom. So that's going to be a thing. But yeah, I mean, doing more exercise, doing more stuff like that. Getting out, doing more of this. The only thing I didn't like about this, and I mean, I could have spent the money and got the year pass, but I know the end of the season is coming here, is that it's $13 a day to go in there. The state park in Illinois is free, but the trails aren't this challenging. But it's $13 a day to go into this park, or you can get a $28 year pass. And unfortunately, I only found this at the end of the year. If I'd have found this earlier on in the year, I'd probably get the full year pass. But it is September, which means that the winter is probably going to be over soon, and they're probably not going to get very many more hikes out of it. But the other side of that is 2 hikes, and you've paid for your year pass. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're ever in Wisconsin, look me up first, and we'll go see Devil's Lake. We'll go hang out there. We'll go for a hike. We'll go walk up the Balanced Rock one, and I guess there's another one that's even more aggressive on the other side of the lake that I kind of want to go see now. Now that I've read about it and I know where it is, I kind of want to go hit that aggressive one and see how hard it is for me to get up that one. But yeah, absolutely, do some physical fitness stuff. All right. And now for a thing that I hate, which almost was this linguistic thing from NPR, but I found something worse. From WeGotThisCovered.com, Marvel Studios may drop the men from X-Men. Yes, you read that right. It's going to be a big deal when mutants finally arrive in the MCU. Many of the most popular comic book characters in the world are among their numbers, and I'm hyped for MCU takes on Wolverine, Magneto, Storm, and Charles Xavier. But Marvel Studios is in no rush and has many existing characters and storylines to work with before cracking open this franchise. When the superhero team does finally arrive, however, there's a good chance the X-Men might not be the X-Men. Marvel Studios' new president of physical, post-production, VFX, and animation, Victoria Alonso, has hinted that internal thinking is the name that the name X-Men isn't sufficiently inclusive. In an interview with Nuke the Fridge, she said, "I don't know where the future is going. It's funny that people call it the X-Men. There's a lot of female superheroes in that X-Men group, so I think it's outdated." She's right, but Disney will be keenly aware that the X-Men brand name is known around the world and carries a lot of weight. Conversely, it might be easy to drop the Fox, as Fox X Universe movies don't actually use the phrase X-Men very often. Dark Phoenix even specifically called this out, with Mystique saying to Charles, "By the way, the women are always saving the men around here. You might want to think about changing the name to X-Women." So what are the alternatives? If Marvel follows the same pattern as the Avengers, we could see solo movies establishing each key mutant before bringing them all together for a team-up. Perhaps that could simply be called Mutants, covering all MCU newcomers, both good and evil. Then again, Alonso also teased that her future animation project might see a full-on MCU musical, so it seems silly to try and second-guess what you're going to do. Oh my god, I didn't read this part of the article the first time. Did you just say full-on MCU musical? I mean, I like musical theater enough that people question my sexuality sometimes, but that's a bridge too far, you guys. Seriously? Wow. I will tell you this, if they do this, I will not be watching. I can tell you that right off the bat. But I also haven't paid any attention to the MCU since Age of Ultron either, so... That's the last Marvel movie I've seen, was Age of Ultron. because it started getting too woke and too outrageous, and I just didn't really care for it anymore. I like grittier stuff that's, could be real. I do like superhero movies. Don't get me wrong, I do like that. But I like gritty stuff, like The Watchmen. I don't like the Disney-fied X-Men. They're all squeaky clean and language and this and that and the next thing. The Umbrella Academy, that was great. The Watchmen was probably one of my favorite movies. I can't believe I've only ever seen that movie once. I have to rectify that, because that is one of my favorite movies. And and the reason I don't watch movies is I'm the kind of guy where if I watch a movie, I'm usually also doing something on my phone, playing a game, reading an article, doing something else, just because I have so much work ahead of me that I have to do, that I don't usually get a full effect out of the movies. That's a part of the reason I haven't watched as many movies as people think I do, but I couldn't do that with The Watchmen. Like, that had me gripped right from the beginning. I could not watch The Watchmen. That is so many double negatives and double positives. I don't even know what to do with that. But yeah, I mean, as far as the MCU goes and X-Men, I mean, do what you want, really, at this point. You've pussified every superhero that I've ever loved throughout my life. And the Marvel Universe was obviously a little bit grittier than even the DC. They had Batman, and that was gritty. But, I mean, the people in the Marvel Universe really had rarely any use for any sort of secret identities or anything like that. The Marvel Universe was ostensibly better than DC. But DC continually puts out grittier and even somewhat more realistic content. Gotham, Batman, Wonder Woman. It's all a little bit grittier. So whatever. Do what you gotta do, Disney. Do what you're gonna do. Alright, that's it. That's all that I have. Thank you, Brave Dave, for contributing nothing to the conversation. Let's get the outro music set up, and let's get out of here for the day. That's really loud. Let's crank that back just a little bit, too. Alright, so thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out with us throughout the show here, the lurkers, the listeners, the people who don't agree with anything that I have to say or want to hijack the conversation. Thank you, all of you, for coming in here and watching the advertisement to do so as well. I'll be back here tomorrow with more Contemporary, and we will read the names of everybody who chatted in the live chat. Plus, we'll probably do a little bit of live chat throughout the day as well. Probably not as much as some viewers would like, but still a little bit throughout the day as well, because, I gotta say thank you to the guys who are supporting. And, again, for those of you who are here at the top of the show, we do have the announcement that TurnSomePagesProductions.com or TSP-PROD.com are live. It's a start page right now and a coming soon page, but they are live, so look forward to that for more updates and more things that are to come. I am definitely looking forward to that and getting all these great guys back together to create media with each other once again. That was probably one of the most rewarding projects that I've ever had in Freedom Scoop, and I want to continue this. Bring more writers in, bring more people in, get some cross-platform stuff. I guess we're going to be working with Untyranny on the background too, as kind of like a Daily Wire and the Blaze relationship, where we'll go on each other's shows for us and contribute to each other's websites. So I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. This is going to be a great project, and we've got some great people behind it. So go and check that out. Go check out Untyranny.com as well with I can't think of his name right now. God, I can't. He was just on my show too. But yeah, go check them out as well. Otherwise, we'll be back here tomorrow with more Contemporary. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.